Better understanding our capacity for empathy and the ethics of interrogating the historical record will make us better researchers. When engaging with history, it is important to remember that we are interacting with items created by and for other people. By better understanding others' perspectives, we can better understand their behaviors, which might ultimately allow us to have a more sophisticated and sensitive understanding of an historical moment. Empathy is the ability to recognize and understand others' perspectives and emotions. When researching with primary sources, we are required to investigate and interrogate items from the past. Through a series of questioning, we seek to understand the item and the perspectives of the creator or those who interacted with the item. The ability to imagine how people experienced certain historical events and how the experiences of a single event may differ, depending upon a person's experiences, gender, race, socioeconomic background, and many other factors. In order to get to this place of understanding, researchers may find it helpful to develop a series of questions that go beyond the basics of who, what, when, and where. Consider answering why and how questions to gain a deeper understanding of possible motivations and reactions. It is important for researchers to pay attention to archival absences and silences. Many people have been left out of the historical record. Implicit and explicit biases, racism, and prejudices have meant that over time, certain types of primary sources were deemed more or less valuable and worthy of collection. Consider whose perspectives are not adequately represented in the archives, where those stories might be, how to find them, and what to do when we cannot find them. Building up our skills to apply empathy to historical research questions can also lead us to employ empathy more responsibly in our everyday lives. When we better understand the experiences of others throughout history, we can begin to better understand the perspectives and emotions of those around us. While we may not always agree with them, acknowledging that others' opinions are valid based upon their experiences leads us to approach people and topics with more empathy. Ethics are often described as systems of moral principles that impact how a person thinks and behaves. Considering the ethics of archives allows researchers to approach the subject matter they are studying with greater sensitivity, allowing us to better understand power dynamics and systemic oppression at play in the lives of those reflected in the archives. Have you ever wondered about the journey an archival item takes before it settles in an archive? Often, archives are collected by an individual or organization who may eventually donate or sell the item or collection to an archive. Sometimes, material will pass to another person or organization before ultimately making its way into an archival institution. But there are, of course, other ways that items have been handed down and made their way into our institutions. When examining archives, it is helpful to consider: how did this document get in the archive? Did the creator give it willingly, or was it perhaps stolen or obtained against the creator's wishes? Does an archival institution have a right to every document they collect? In collecting these items, how might they be replicating historical structures of power? How does the addition of an item or archive affect how the historical record is seen and interpreted by others? What if someone were to share your personal belongings, school, or work records with an archival institution? As you examine items, consider: how would the people depicted in the record feel about you looking at it now? And does the archival access to this item put anybody at practical or emotional risk? Over the past few years, archivists have begun to question collection methods used to address gaps in our records by collecting items from current protests. After some reflection, many have begun to understand the potential risk to the individuals and groups depicted in these collected images or in other protest artifacts, and altered their approaches to protect protester privacy. Another series of questions to ask is about who can use the archives and how they can gain access. You may have heard colleges and universities referred to as ivory towers, where academics can escape to delve deeply into their intellectual pursuits. Similarly, academic librarians were thought of as gatekeepers, restricting access to rare and specialized collections. While there is greater awareness and more urgency to break free of these stereotypes, many practical barriers still exist around these institutions. Consider the following questions about the items you use. Who can use this item? How easy is it to find out what is in an archive? How easy is it to enter the archive? What does the security system look like? Is access different for people from different groups? How easy is it to understand the item? What does it mean if something is collected and then is not able to be accessed by others? Better understanding the ethics of archival collections and the institutions which house them, and building your capacity for empathy for those reflected in or silenced by the archive will make you a more sophisticated researcher. For more help getting started with research using primary sources, we welcome you to explore our other tutorials.